marriage is so crazy because it is to death do us part. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't believe in that, something, it's true ride or die. So I do give them the respect of that, of ride or dying together. But hey, sometimes when you ride or die, you might have to. We ride, but you might have to put the gas in the car today, bro. This is one of those. Hey, you might have to go put the gas in the car days because you're gonna have to eat this joke. Welcome to another edition, a very, very special edition, once again, of In the Zone. I am your host, the Councilman, Durance Daniels, and I'm here with a very, very special guest. Not just the sweetest person I know, but the sweetest person on the mic. Please let the people know who you are, man.
But first, of course, it's imperative that I say thank you for having me on the platform. I told you when I was excited to just get back out there, you was the first person to reach out, so I greatly appreciate you.
Pleasure is ours.
Of course, Durance is a phenomenal person himself. I mean, has accomplished so much, so just know that I'm proud of you. I thank you for the introduction. My name is NyKeta Gaffney, formerly known as Keta Kiwi, the sweetest chick on the MIC at Radio 1 Cincinnati. I currently do PR and communications for Cincinnati's hometown Humane Society, so I'm really excited about that. I love the animals. I love my fur babies. But my greatest title is mom and daughter to two amazing women. So. And
you can hear the humility in her voice, like she said, man, all the great things that she's been able to do, once again, not just in front and behind the scenes, like you said, but really having the heart to really, like you said, take care of those. You know, like I said, our animals are four-legged friends. Okay. Like, you know,
they matter too.
Man, not just matter, but, you know, from a therapy standpoint, sometimes, like what they just do for us, we sometimes take advantage of those relationships, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, not just personally, and we'll definitely get into that, you know, the rundown, we'll talk about, you know, how we personally don't take care of ourselves when we on top, whether we're a job, or, you know, how we personally ain't taking care of what we need to do where we getting 7 baby mamas. Ooh. Or how we personally ain't taking care of our marriages and things of that nature. So self-care is real, but it's just good to hear, once again, how you said, man, the main thing, I'm just a mom and a daughter. And,
it's real life. And I'm experiencing, you know, going through that human experience that everybody else is going through. And, you know, life is happening. I mean, and it's happening fast.
Fast. Like I said, I feel like 2000 when we met, it was 2010-ish.
Yeah.
And then once again, that's 13 years ago.
Crazy. You saw my baby when she was
like I said, she in college now. But as you said before, how time moves so quickly. And, you know, especially for these young people sometimes, I don't think, and I sound like the old guy now. Like I said, we only in our 30s, but we can still relate to ourselves 13 years
ago,
which seems like a lifetime, especially for some of these kids, because as we talk about, you know, there's this young man, Ja Morant, basketball player for the Memphis Grizzlies, you know, great, all-star, phenomenal hooper. Like I said, one of the most athletic people I have ever seen. If you ever watch his highlights, and we'll probably put some up here on the screen.
Yeah.
Like just phenomenal as his ability to move and contort himself in the air. He's an artist, but it's so crazy with these young people and how he's the best player on his team, been the best player on his team for a very long time. It's now to the point where it feels like you're influencing social media, but you're still allowing social media to influence you.
Absolutely.
And it's getting to a point that is going to be detrimental to him because he was, you know, his team suspended him because he went to a club one night, got upset. You know, dumb stuff that we used to do together. And then on social, waving a gun all over the place. And what was crazy, because now it's showing a pattern of behavior because the young man was just accused, once again, you know, allegedly of, you know, pull out a gun and harming a young person because they may have showed him up on the basketball court. You know what I mean? It's like, so if you're trying to, once again, be a representation of something bigger than yourself or really try to be just a leader of yourself, sometimes that's a lot to ask for a young man who's still trying to find himself. So, just your thoughts on it.
You're coupling the fact that he has this enormous talent with being so young and the world at his disposal. And then you add social media in the mix. It's just always a recipe for, like, I don't want to call it disaster, but it creates a lot of tension and conflict within your life and your profession. Because I think about myself and the things that I have to remember when I go to social media and do what I do, because I want to live my life and show me in my true authentic self. But at the same rate, I represent another brand. I represent an organization that stands for something. He has a brand of his own, but he's in the league and he holds the weight of his family and all those that depend on him. So he has to, at such a young age, remember all of that while trying to find and navigate his frustrations, his mental health, his emotional health. That can be a lot.
All on the public stage.
All in front of the camera on a public stage. So, I mean, I'm always leaning towards giving people grace, but you can't keep making the same bad habits your thing.
And sometimes I think, because once I do remember being 20 something and that 30, 40-year-old was trying to tell me, but because we've seen it and we've seen this pattern, he probably doesn't remember other athletes who lost it all, who was on that trajectory of moving it up because they want to go around brandishing guns. I can think of Plexico Burrs, Gilbert Arenas. There's plenty of cats that living a lifestyle that you necessarily don't have to live anymore, whether you come for that or not. At that point, you didn't made it. So why are you still trying to portray yourself in a way that everybody knows at the point that it ain't even you?
It's not you. Yeah.
Everybody knows it ain't you because we can see who you are. Like we can actually see your contracts now. So
everything's public. We know you.
So that's why I don't understand with sometimes with these athletes. We had a professional athlete on here last week, Josh Harrison, plays for the Phillies. The biggest thing he was just talking about, his humility. Once again, as we kind of talked about, it's like, man, I'm just a family man. I really want to go home. I don't know if that's the culture of the NBA, maybe because it is a lot of us. And I don't know if that's, why that is our culture, why that feels like that's something we have to portray all the time. But I wish and I hope one day we can grow out of it and realize that if you truly stop giving folks the ammunition to kind of, attack us and then
say that
and then give other folks that look like us on TV ammunition to kind of now continue the narrative, I think we can truly build something that's greater than what it is. But, that's just me being
with that. I mean, he does take accountability, right? I mean, from what I've seen, he takes accountability. And again, that grace, being a woman, I'm always the one to let's figure out the other aspects of what's really happening, his emotional and mental health, as I mentioned. So he needs to work on that. And then I was speaking to you earlier about his mentorship and the guidance in his personal life. How do other men help him realize this ain't the route?
Well, I mean, you got once again, you got other players on your team, but that's the tough thing about being the best player on your team sometimes, right? Who is that vet that can pull you to the side? And I'm sure he has. You got the Steven Adams of the world on your team, and then you would think you're a coach, but it's really your players and your peers that's really going to navigate you. That's going to navigate you in that right way. But yeah, let's let's really kind of take this and let's take it to another directive, right? Another how black men are not maybe making bad decisions might be the right word, but I was listening to a radio show the other day, and I guess it was on TikTok as well too, because I think that's where it really started on TikTok. This young man was sitting there talking about, I got 7 baby mamas. I really, matter of fact, Keith, I think you've seen the TikTok, right? Can you give a little bit more of the profile, a little more background on this one for me a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the clip I saw, I was just randomly on Instagram, and I was just scrolling the feed, and then he popped up, and he's explaining to the camera directly that he chooses to have entanglements with women, entanglements with women, and out of all of the many, 7 of them have chosen to keep his child. And he's explained to them that he has the money for to eliminate the situation, but they choose to maintain the pregnancy and give birth to a child that he's made clear that he doesn't want.
Yeah. What are your let me tell you as a man, because you definitely broke it down for us, so I'll respond. And I want to know your thoughts to it as well too. I remember my savage days. I wasn't always married. Wasn't always Daddy D, wasn't always Councilman D. If you knew me back at Elon, that was one of my crazy nicknames, was Savage. Now, was definitely not going around spreading my seed all over the place. The only fertilizer I'm laying is in the farm right now. I definitly was not doing any of that.
Respect.
Yeah. But, you definitely tried to, what's the word that Prince Hakeem had used? So
got it.
You didn't necessarily, anticipate or predict or truly understand the perspective of a young woman at that point in time. Okay. So I definitely get that. You could just hear that in his voice. He just doesn't have that perspective. The second piece behind it, though, is bruh,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
At some points, you just gotta know, like, man, like
know better.
Yeah, like, because you're putting a life in the line, but then you also got to know, what have you seen? Like, what are you exposed to? I think one of the things that never really wanted me to kind of take that route and take that role, we talk about all the time. Yeah, I was 2-parent household, but my dad was really influential with me. My grandfather, I grew up with a lot of influential black men, so I didn't want to just be one that was just spreading all over the place.
Yes.
But we get back to the culture again, and once again, I want to get your perspective on it because I think it ties into both of our conversations. The culture of black men growing up and what the culture tells us that we're supposed to be a baller, be a someone. A gangbanger is such an outdated term. It's got to be a better one, and make sure you got you about 3-4 chicks at least on the side. So both of these young men are living that, but it's so crazy because when you're doing it, you're trying to chase women doing it. We're all when we do it, we're really trying to impress women doing it. So
at the end of the day,
what is a woman's perspective when they see that though?
I mean, my generation of women, I mean, the idea of like being in a monogamous relationship has always been at the forefront. Now, as time has evolved, we've seen how the idea within the culture of like, well, I'm a woman. I do what I want with my body. I can do whatever I want. Yeah. So it's kind of almost elevated a little bit, but I still think there's still that boundary for women. Like, nah, like we don't live as freely as men do, but there are some that do. I can't speak in like put a general blanket on women, and I can't. I mean, when I was in college, I wasn't a nickname of nothing. So, but I think at the core of this conversation is accountability and responsibility. Like, I mean, you didn't make the mistake once. You made not twice. You made it 7 times. And he said, not just the fact that these 7 women decided to keep his child. Like, he's done this with multiple women, probably countless. I don't even know if he knows the number of women he's done this with, but let's just say
probably got some kids out there he didn't know about.
He don't even know about. Yeah. But to give your seed to a woman is a precious thing. Yeah. It's a spiritual thing. And so, like, you giving it away so freely, to me, it speaks to your character, your moral compass, like where you are mentally and emotionally. That's big for me. Mental and emotional is big for me. So as a man, from a woman's perspective, it's just not a good look.
Let me ask you 2 questions. A, where do you think the dynamic of that changed, right? Because you talked about, being with one person was huge for us.
It was huge.
Like even if you wanted to play around, like, I remember How to Be a Player. At the end of the day, it was like, how do you find that one, right?
Yep.
So where did that dynamic change in your thought? And I got another question on the back end of it.
We spoke to it a little bit. I mean, we just talk about just along one factor, social media. We used to live in a world, for us, when I talk about our generation, we came up with a time where you face the person in front of you, your community, you went out and you was with the gang. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now you have access to millions of people by picking up your phone. So your idea of choice, your idea of access, your idea of options has unlocked a whole new level. And so now you chasing whatever, because you have not only that influence. So when you go out to the club or you just like, well, I mean, that's the life, right? Yeah. That's what I see on my phone. That's what I see my homeboys doing. That's what I may have seen my uncles and my dad do. So, I mean, it's just become very like normal. There's a desensitized. What do you call it? Desensitized. So desensitized to the fact that you should be with one woman, and that's just my idea.
So when the themes now are like WAP, right? Like those are like real songs on that's playing real. Like Megan Thee Stallion, like
liberated. Liberated.
But is that how Trina was singing? Like, is that how Foxy was singing? Like, these are the people. Like, once again, you talk about women who at the same time spitting the same type of lyrics and then arguably something better than that's a different conversation. But I'm just trying to figure out when what really changed that dynamic that it didn't become like. Is it empowering? And I'm not trying to sound like, the misogyny, trying to put a woman in her place. I'm not that cat, but I'm really curious. Like, is it empowering to just sit there and say that sexual liberty is trying to mimic something that you think a man is trying to live? Because most men ain't even really living that life. For real.
Facts.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
it's a constant circle of confusion. And let's be clear, though. The idea of having more than what you probably should is not a new concept. There is no new concept. It's just that everything is on the forefront now. We can pick up our phone. We know about everybody's business and how to get it, where to get it, and what they doing and how they doing it. So the concepts are not new, but because they're in our face and it feels again like so tangible, like you can just have it. We are just moving at the speed of light to get what we want. But when you talk about that empowerment and liberation, I feel like it's just a circle of confusion. Everybody think they are accomplishing something within their sexuality as opposed to really digging deep into their spirit and figuring out like, how does this going to impact me years from now? How does this impact me really finding my soulmate? Like, I don't think that's at the forefront of our behavior.
Speaking of digging into spirits, our third topic. So I don't know if you've seen the Chris Rock special.
I've seen the clips.
The clips, yeah. So Chris really responded back to Will Smith, and you know, it's about a year ago now where Will came up, smacked the mess out of him on the Oscars, you know, because Chris was telling jokes about his wife on national television. So he really hit the nail on the head because, like I said, it's crazy how each one of these topics kind of have that path through, you know, relationships, you know, responsibility, you know, just really when it comes to just how men try to either defend or impress or just show that they are man enough for their woman has totally backfired in every one of these situations. So just your thoughts on how Will responded, because I know it's about a year ago from now, so everybody had a chance to really digest it. Will has not been canceled, so
he has not. So I don't think that was ever going to happen. But yeah.
So we can kind of talk about it in earnest. So what was just your thoughts about how you know, Big Willie style went up there and put his hands on Chris Rock for talking mess about his wife?
Like we kind of, like you said, chopped it up a little bit, but I think initially for me, I'm like, damn right. Like, take up for, I mean, you know, that's your woman. Let him know. Like, you ain't for the bull. Like, let him know. But then it was like, that was on national TV and that is your brother. Like, and you were laughing. Like, damn, like, nah, like, initially it was like, I was excited and proud for him. Like, that's what you do. You take up for your woman. But then it became a whole other, like, reality. Like, no. That was not cool. That was not cool at all.
Because it's so crazy. Because like we talked about before, when I first saw you, thought it was fake.
Right.
But then it's like,
it's the Oscars, it's actors. Like,
but it's not even just that. It's like, as a man, right? When my woman cheats on me, my woman cheats on me, and it makes a show out of it. My woman cheats on me. You go in there. So it's like, at that point, I'm like, I don't really feel that motivated to put my career and my reputation and everything I built on the line for you right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing when you talk about marriage is so crazy because it is to death do us part. Like, if you don't believe in that, it's true ride or die. So I do give them the respect of that, of ride or dying together. But hey, sometimes when you ride or die, you might have to, we ride, but you might have to put the gas in the car today, bro. This is one of those, you might have to go put the gas in the car days because you're going to have to eat this joke because right now he's really talking about, and that might be, and once again, that might be some toxicity.
It could be because at the end of the day, he participated in that table talk that we're referring to. Like, he sat there and agreed to it.
As a black, oh my God.
So he has to be accountable for his part in that as well because he was willing to air out, so to speak, that dirty laundry if he considered it dirty. But I mean, I think the public understood them to have this kind of relationship in a way, but she cheated in a way. If that makes sense. She cheated within the cheating. She
got entangled.
Entangled.
So she was entangled. It was so crazy though, because it was almost like her getting entangled was her being empowered. And then Will on TV crying about it was him being empowered. I don't see how any of that worked on any front and how anybody got better from that. Like, that was just my front. But no, to Chris Rock's point, though. So Chris came through and really just tied it all together and kind of said, it's like, yo, I'm not the one who talked about your wife. Yeah. I'm not the one who really put you in this situation. I'm telling jokes, but not to that extent that you feel like you had to come out here
and insult me.
Insult me in front of all these white people. Yeah. And so that was the part where Chris, I truly felt like, hey, we can have our conversations, but I'm not going to respond because one thing that we're not going to sit here and act ass in front of these white folks. Yeah,
no. We put up a united front for sure. And then we deal what we deal with at home.
Especially when you got black multi-millionaires with a platform that could really move in a way. And especially on the day that you just won an Oscar for winning King Richard on a movie that he not just produced, but you acted in, and you celebrating the beautiful goddess and queen, Serena Williams.
Shout out. But, I know I feel you, though. It just wasn't good for the culture. So to sum that part up, it just wasn't a good look. And my heart goes out to Chris Rock on the opposite end of me cheering Will Smith on in the beginning. Like, yeah, take up for your woman. But, I mean, it happened. We can't take it back.
But yeah, we'll definitely cheer for him now because, like I said, I do rock with the Peacock show, Fresh Prince. I like that rendition of it. Just quick 30 seconds. Do you like the old Fresh Prince better or the new Fresh Prince better?
Oh, come on now. That shouldn't even be a question. That's the old Fresh Prince. Come on now.
Old Fresh Prince. I got you. All right, who's a better rapper, his son or Will?
I have to give
it to Willow.
Oh, you know what? I still go with his son.
Better hair.
Come on now, his son got it though.
His son.
His cadence, his voice, his tone, like all of that. Yeah.
So man, I just wonder how all those young kids stars. I know we're taking it in a whole different direction. I know we kind of got to wrap them a little. But all like Jay-Z's kid, Will Smith's kid, Kanye's babies.
I know.
We'll pray for Kanye's babies. That's all.
He's in our thoughts for sure. For sure.
But I wonder how all of those kids now will grow up and kind of form this next generation of, like you said,
especially coming up through social media.
But that's the thing, though. They're not on it though.
Are they not?
I guess. Well, you know what? Their parents try to hide them from it to a certain extent.
They try.
They kind of build their own platform, so they try to shelter them from it.
They do. I give them that.
Man. How's your baby doing out of school, man?
She's good. And, we do the mental and emotional check-ins because it's, again, everybody's having that human experience. And, what I think she might feel could be totally different from what she's actually experiencing. So as a parent, you never stop parenting. You always have a conversation about where they are, where they've been and how that's affecting where they are and then where they're heading. So she's doing good. I'm actually very, very proud of where she is right now.
We all are. I'm extremely proud of you. It's always dope to catch up with you.
Absolutely.
Man, it's always dope to provide you guys some more great content in the zone. Man, make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment. Let us know what you guys thought about some of these conversations. Let us know what you thought about Ja Morant. Let us know what you thought about having 7 baby mamas and 7 kids. Child. Because I can't even imagine, A, what that child support look like, but B, I know ain't nobody.
He said he ain't paying it.
I know ain't nobody giving you that tax money. Ain't nobody coming around when that tax returns come around.
It's a wrap.
Yes, you don't even get the income tax credit, bro. And then just lastly, your thoughts about Chris Rock's stand-up. Did you like it? Did you see, just going live on Netflix? Even that's revolutionary.
Selective outrage.
Selective. We could do a whole show on selective outrage.
Sometimes I got it. Sometimes I do. But so I get it. I do. But I appreciate you. If I haven't said that enough, I appreciate you and this platform and what you're doing for the community right here in Lincoln Heights is the manifestation of the things you set out to do. I mean, it's growing at a phenomenal rate, and I'm just extremely proud.
We've come a long way from being David Banner and stuff. But like I said, it was that same hustle that you guys taught me. Keita, Will. Y'all definitely took me under y'all wing. Saw something in a cat that definitely was a knucklehead. Even taking that space for granted a little bit. Taking the Wiz truck to the house and just
wilding.
I'll bring it back.
Now you're a councilman, okay? Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
You know, that's what I'm saying. But that's why we always want to show grace and show forgiveness, even for, like I said, for Ja, even for the young man, and even like I said, for Will and them. Well, you know, we it's good to have these conversations. It's good to have these dialogues. That's the only way we grow.
Yeah.
That's
it's a human experience.
Absolutely.
Remember that, though.
Absolutely. Last thought. Anything you got for the people?
Yeah, I mean, lead with love. That's what I always, lead people with. Lead with love. I mean, that's the ultimate, answer and solution.
Absolutely. And all I got is, man, don't be afraid to celebrate Breast Cancer Awareness in March. And there are no limits because we are the Heights. Oh, yeah. IG, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Twitter on Kita_Kiwi, but my full name, NyKeta Gaffney, on everything else.
And shout out to all the beautiful women during International Women's History Month.
Shout out.
We definitely want to make sure. I think we just might do to have a woman guest all month.
That'll be dope.
Really just chop it up.
I might be back with my girls. I don't know.
Let's do it. Once again, shout out to our friends in Atlanta. Shout out to everybody in Washington, D.C. that showed us love. Shout out to Celeste Trees. We'll be in Cleveland this weekend, and we're in New Orleans in a couple weeks. So make sure y'all just keep up with us. Check us out on theheightsmovement.org. Check us out on the Heightsmovement YouTube. There are no limits.